It was fair to say we were pretty confident in Boston, so we decided to up the stakes and go for a top 3 position on leg 2.
Over the next 5 days, the fleet headed out into the North Atlantic and stared longingly at the clouds, hoping they would part to let through the promised sunshine.
I was down here expecting to see on the weather charts warm weather and fair winds, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was a hurricane intensifying right in front of us, and we were heading straight towards it. And literally in a matter of 8 hours or so, this was going to be on top of us. So it was a massive, massive dilemma for me. But we went back to our original goals. I thought long and hard about how we should tackle the hurricane, and we decided to tackle it safe, happy and fast.
Mark knew there was no way he could take his team through the eye of a hurricane, through the strongest winds and seas. Knowing the maximum limits of the yachts and allowing for a safety margin, he set a course that took them around the storm, through conditions that the yacht and crew could handle, but without detracting too much from a direct course.
We weighed up the absolute need for safety with our desire to still be competitive. And I think that was a good thing, because although we sailed more miles than the rest of the fleet in our quest to stay out of the way of the hurricane, when we came out the other side, we'd actually done a lot better than a lot of them. And that was really down to the fact that the crew felt safe and we're still performing at 110%.
We've had a hurricane for breakfast.
BP's philosophy paid off, allowing them to survive the hurricane remarkably unscathed, both in terms of damage to the yacht and to the crew's morale. Back in 5th position, the team then started to chase after the front runners as they approached the doldrums, the notorious windless area that surrounds the equator.
We're in 4th place at the moment. It's all to play for. We desperately want a result. We desperately want either 3rd or 2nd. 4th would do right now, the way I'm feeling right now. That'd be great if we could coast in like this. We've got everyone romping up behind us. And heading for BA, we've got about 980 miles to go to the tip before we start heading up the River Plate. You know, all we want is a result, and you know, there's so much can happen in a week.
I remember that last week of that leg being the worst of the race for me. We quite clearly concentrated too much on the result and not enough on the people side of things.
Just on the approaches to BA, we're literally, I guess, 5 miles from the finish line. And BP hasn't had the finest day, has to be said. We've got a quadstone in front of us, I don't know, a couple of miles in front of us. We've had a tacking jaw. I think we first set eyes on her this morning at 6 a.m. Down in the River Plate, about 90 miles away. We've had to have a huge tacking jaw with her all the way up to BA, and unfortunately she got the better of us, and she's a couple of miles in front. So we're a little disappointed in that, and currently lying 7th place.
And so I spent the next 3 weeks in Buenos Aires trying to put this team back together. And I did a big team review session, but first of all, I did one-on-one reviews with everyone. I took them off for an hour and I sat them down and I said, how did the leg go for you? But unusually as a leader, I also said to them, how do you think I'm doing? You know, what can I do better? And I had to take a lot on the chin, I can tell you. Despite saying we weren't going to do it, we really felt we'd rested on our laurels in Boston. We really hadn't done the necessary planning and preparation for this leg, and it had cost us dearly. But also there were some other issues. Not least of all, we hadn't really had a plan for bringing the new leggers into the team. These are new people coming into an established team, which is always a tricky thing to do, and we really had done little to help that situation. The other thing we did differently on leg 2 was to give them the results every 6 hours, and that was just in a snapshot form, just on a piece of paper posted up on the board. And what would happen is the crew would come down, they would have a look at the results, see that we'd lost a few miles, go back up on deck and demotivate the rest of the crew. And that was not a good thing. Those snapshot results weren't part of the big picture. So from leg 3 onwards, we ended up just going back to the explanation and results in the daily meeting. I really feel I was just too determined to get a result at the cost of everything else. Like in the last tacking duel with Quadstone, when I should have been standing back, directing the whole operation, I actually insisted that I should go on the helm. And then what happened is, when I asked for something to be done and we ended up with a lot of confusion on board, there was no one there directing the operation, and that was a big problem for us. I was just driving the team too hard without giving them any recognition and praise for the work that they were doing. There's only so long individuals will work 110% without a pat on the back, and that was a big problem. But the one key lesson out of that leg that we learned was to review one-on-one and in a team situation to find the solutions to the problems.